mind. I don't know why. Perhaps you could tell me.
You are now listening to the Latino Free Mind podcast. Enjoy the show.
Yo, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to Latino Free Minds. And this is also on Don't Mind Us. We're on episode 112. I think the guys are on episode 9, 10? I forget.
We're up there. We're up there. We're catching up. We're
Yeah,
catching up.
catching
We're
it.
right behind you. We're right behind you.
How you doing, Gio?
Man, I'm blessed. Had a really good holiday weekend, and I'm excited for what the future brings because I think the Lord has been blessing Latino Free Minds, DMU, and just lead as a whole. You know.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think we have a solid team. How you doing, Danny?
Good, little crispy, but
Yeah, where were you? Where were you at?
a little vacation, a little getaway, got a little bit of sun.
Okay.
So, yeah, just spending time with the family, but it was good.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's good
I,
to get back in the groove a little bit.
yeah, I heard you couldn't go there if you voted for Trump.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they didn't catch
That's
you.
they lied. I was walking with my NRA backpack and everything over there. So,
Nah, that's cool, man. No, we're supposed to have Christine on, but he probably fell asleep. But now, you know, if you follow us on Instagram and all that, we've been posting the candidates that we're gonna have on, and we're 1 week away from the first candidate, which would be David Serpa next Tuesday, June 3rd. So we're looking forward to getting this version of Know Your Candidate cracking going. Um, this one means a little more because we've had different candidates we've had on, but a lot of the candidates that we have had on in the past, we couldn't vote for. We're just kind of trying to spread their message, and hopefully people in their districts would listen to it and give them their vote. And this time around, it's we're interviewing candidates that you know can get our vote. So that's what I feel like, and you guys can tell me if you disagree, but it's like that's why I think it's important to talk to all these candidates so that everyone can hear from each of them, not just the most known ones. I think they all have to be heard before we decide. And I think that's what we're going to be able to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I think realistically, for our show and our platform, it's important to have like just in general like California candidates on because we do have a large following. At least here in California, we have the majority of our listeners are here, and even if it's one or two voters in their specific district, they are getting the word out. They do get to we do get the word out, and we do get that vote, and that one person can talk to somebody else. And we always tell them vote their reality and continue that message and talk to a friend. I know when we're getting close to the elections, you guys have always just told everybody like just take a friend with you, and if they do that, then that message goes across.
Mm-hmm.
So you know agreed, though. Agreed that this next week, or starting this next week, this journey that we're about to go on is going to be huge. I mean, because realistically, a large part of our audience lives in California. A large part of our audience gets to vote here in California, and we're all going to be affected by this.
Mm-hmm. What
And
do
for
you
those
think?
people outside of California, it's a big fight. It's a big fight here, because I know we have listeners in Texas, Florida, New York, and I know you guys
We
faithfully
do.
tune in to these California guys talking about California, but this is the front of the fight. Everybody's always talking about how Florida's gonna go purple or Texas is gonna go purple. Well, guess what? Here in California, we've been pushing The last election, Donald Trump got 40%. You know what that's called in Texas when Texas gets 40% blue? They call that going purple. They call that uh, going over to the other side. But California doesn't get the attention because um, old legacy media doesn't want you to think like that about California, but it's happening here. We're fighting here. We're not little. Well, this is LFM. We're not little chicken stuffs running away because the policies are bad or the taxes are bad. We're staying here and fighting. We want these policies to turn around, and that's why we're bringing these candidates on. Whether it's a Republican or a Democrat, we put the message out there. We want them on, and we've had some good responses. Big names that have come in. So I'm excited. I'm excited.
What about you, Danny? What do you think?
I think we've spoken to people on the podcast before that have talked about, moving away from California. And one of the points that we have made is that if you think that you're running away from the fringe left, is I just heard a story about Texas, how liberal it's turning, and they're trying to open up that Muslim community over there. I don't know what county it is, but I mean, they're trying to make Texas the same way that New York and California are. So the point that we were trying to make is you can run, but they're gonna wherever you go, that they're the target too. So it's happening here. So we have to, make the stand here in California, stop it here in California, so that it doesn't spread to other states or other cities, other counties. So, people make fun of Californians, for staying here, but I also was talking to someone yesterday that's saying that, California is the best state in the nation. We've got the best weather. You want to go, to the snow. You want to go rock climbing, hikes. We've got the parks. You want to go to the beach. We got the beaches. You want to go to the desert, sand dunes, and stuff like that. We got that.
Hmm.
Um, People are great here. You go outside of the big cities, and it's red, and people are going to agree with you. I'm in the Central Valley, Northern Central Valley, and the majority of the people that I meet and talk to agree with a lot of the things that we talk about. So, Gio talked about legacy media. It's a huge echo chamber. We're here to say that, at least I am, that it's not true. California is not that crazy state that everybody thinks it is. We've got the fringe left running it. That's why it seems like it's a crazy state. That
Yeah.
we've lost our minds over here. We haven't
Not
lost our minds.
thanks for backing me up, Danny, because it's true. I mean, when the election was going on, you guys asked me, what is your thought on, what would you consider a win, because Donald Trump's not going to win. My point was, if we
Hmm.
hit 40%, that's a win for California, because every election we've been pushing closer and closer. I think the first election was like low 30%. The next one was a little bit higher. Now we got 40. I think that Donald Trump is a hard to win here in California, but somebody like like Riverside Sheriff. I'm not gonna say names because we're not endorsing anybody yet, right? I think somebody like that would have a really good chance to hitting that 50%. And realistically, if you can get 50% of the vote, you win, because there's going to be other candidates on that ballot, and the Democrat is not going to get that full 50%. So we just got to keep pushing that message forward and telling people, because a lot of people don't vote. Realistically, a lot of people don't vote. Tell them this is important.
Hmm.
This affects us more than the president. This is our governor. And we've had just about enough. I mean, aren't you tired of going to the gas station and paying a, a stuff ton of money? Aren't you tired of going and paying for your registrations and getting uh, stuffed in the butt? Aren't you
Pause.
tired? Dude, seriously, like I just paid my registration, and I'm like, my car's over 10 years old, and I'm
There's a
still
lot of
paying like
stuff and talk.
$300.
Hey,
Because
I'm
that's
not
what
getting
it's feeling
stuck.
like in California, man. When they're taking all this money, all these taxes are crazy, even locally.
Yeah.
So I just feel like We need to tell people, get out and vote. This one's important. If you thought the Donald Trump election was important, this one is more so because this is affecting us directly.
Well, I'm gonna back you up again, Gio. I don't like getting stuffed either.
Pause.
All right.
Clip it.
Pause. Triple pause.
No, but I mean, in case you didn't know, as far as the state with the highest price in gas, California does rank number one. So you know, has to do a lot with what Gio just talked about, different taxes that they add to it. Um, so
And that's before the two refineries close here.
yeah,
So
which could
they're projecting $8 gas in what?
2026 next year.
I was in Sacramento today. It was $5.55 or something like that. Sacramento.
Yeah, I think I saw. I don't want to say Florida or Texas. I want to say Alaska or Arkansas. One of those two. It was like 249. I looked at a
Ooh,
list, so it's like you know.
guys, if you're living outside of California and you're listening in, you are living the dream. Donald Trump has come through for you. We're still waiting. We're a long way away from Washington, D.C. We're waiting for that help. Please send help, send FEMA, send everybody, Donald Trump.
Hmm.
What's up, Christine?
What's going on? No, I hopped right in when I think Danny was talking about eradicating Muslims or something like that from California. Something about completely getting rid of them. India started knocking down mosques, dude. Say what you want about our Indian brothers and sisters, but put an action forth.
They, I don't know, man. TikTok's got a lot of rumors about those Indians. They're all, hey, those street vendors, man. They be careful
You don't
what you
want
eat.
DMU talk. You don't invite DMU to the party.
There's a lot of shit out there, dude.
Yeah,
That's
right.
just what they
Well,
said on TikTok. Don't come after me. Come after
Yeah,
the Chinese, okay?
don't fact check me.
no, but one question that or something that I wanted us to like kind of each kind of give their own perspective, but like at the end of talking to all these governors, like we could start with Danny. It's like what do you kind of hope people get out of that, so to speak?
A different perspective on how to look at these candidates at these races. So, I give you an example earlier is that I think when people are voting um, for anybody in any type of race, we don't approach it as if we have to interview them or questions that we want to ask them. It's just the information that's presented to us and what they want to let us know about themselves. In other words, what are they selling to us? So, what I would like for everybody to get out of this is the questions that we're going to be asking is more of a real type of interview, asking them questions because we are the ones hiring them. So, get a different perspective towards it. And, we've said it a bunch of times is that we got to make this cool. We got to make this something that people want to talk about and want to engage in it. And I'm not saying that this is happening because of us, but I know outside of our little echo chamber that we have right here in the real world, we go out and talk to people and we engage them with these type of conversations, and they're more and more willing to have those type of conversations with us. And we're starting to find out that they're really aligned with what we're saying. And I'm I'm just really excited. To second what Gio was saying in the beginning is that I can't wait for it. I just want to learn more. I think knowledge is what we should be looking for. I want to know, what the priorities are. What they're going to be handling day one. Um, just a bunch of different questions like that.
Hmm. What about you, Gio? What do you
Hey,
think?
for me, what I'm looking for in these gubernatorial candidates is what is their platform? You know, would it excite me if somebody came out with a similar platform to like I'm just saying this. Would it excite me if they came out like a platform like Donald Trump? You know, we want to cut the fat. We want to go in and clean it up, put the fight in, see where we've been spending money. Yeah, that would excite me. But realistically, what is it going to take to win here in California? I want to know what are we going to do about the wildfires? I want to know what are we going to do about the insurance companies? I want to know what are we going to do about the California Air Resource Board that is somehow dictating how much we have to pay for gas and taxes for what. You know, figure out what's really going on with the homeless in Los Angeles, not just Los Angeles, but just Los Angeles as an example, like Skid Row. We millions and millions have been spent there, but they go in and find out nothing's happened. Nothing has been produced. So where did that money go? So I just want to know who's going to fight for me, who's going to fight for my tax dollar, because hey, I pay taxes, and a lot of the voters that are going to go out there and vote, they pay taxes. Sure, you might get a little bit back, but go look at your paychecks. We're sending a lot of money to California, and where's that money going? All these little programs, it sounds nice, it tickles people's ears, but when I drive down in the hood and see 7 8 tenths of giving away free cell phones, dude, it's not 1 tenth giving away free cell phones. It is 8 tenths. Each one of them has a different employee. Each one of them is a different organization giving away cell phones. What, like, who's
And you
funding
don't
that?
qualify, Gio.
I don't
You
qualify.
don't qualify for not one of those damn tents.
I don't care if I don't get to use an iPhone. I'll take one of those cheap Androids if it's free. I'm tired of paying $125 a month. Give me one. I
Well,
paid
you got
for
a
I
good
paid for
deal.
my phone. I'm just getting mad. DMU's upset. No, but seriously, I want to know who's going to fight for me. And, who's going to get my endorsement? It's going to be who I believe is truly going to have a chance at fighting for California, because that's who's going to get the vote. It's
Mhm.
it's who's the fighter. Gavin Newsom came out and promised the Democrats he was going to fight for them. That's why they voted for him. We saw through that. We
Mhm.
knew that he wasn't going to do anything, and we've seen the results. A lot of spent money, but what? No
No
actions taking
results.
place. No
No
results.
results.
Go look at Los Angeles. It's worse than when he took office. Go look at San Francisco. They cleaned it up for the Chinese president, but not for us.
Mhm.
Come here to Fresno. They've got, dude. 3 years ago they had 3 tents. Now they got seven out on Ashland near the 41. You think I'm lying? Go look. They're giving away the phones. They're giving away the phones for free. Every one of those signs has a different language. Says gratis, free, every language out there. You want a free phone? Go get it. Just don't make no money. You gotta lie about your paycheck, I guess. I don't know, because I wouldn't qualify. But
Well,
hey, who's gonna fight?
you're welcome to all of them.
What do you
Facts.
think? What do you think, Christian?
Don't be nasty, Danny. You're welcome. No, man. Well, I'm more just excited that it all gets to kind of go down on this platform, whether it's LFM or DMU. It's a lot of people still don't know these races are going on, or but us having the front seat, the best seat, and learning, firsthand, that's to me the exciting part, and then just getting to know these candidates,
Hmm.
it's my first time even like looking into these races, and then from what seat, that's what's tripping me out, from ground zero. So um everybody else,
Yeah.
gets to know their candidates, and it's not just us. So it's about getting familiar. Yeah.
Hmm. No, yeah, I think I agree with basically everything you guys said, and at the end of the day. I hope that we're able to ask the majority of the questions that people maybe themselves want to ask. um, you know what I mean, and hopefully they get those answers, because that's the thing. Like, sometimes it seems like if we don't do it, like, who's going to do it, right? Where else are we going to get the information? Where else are we going to hear directly from them in a space that doesn't seem like it's controlled by a media company, or you know uh, a party, so to speak, right?
Hmm.
It's just us regular guys, nobody's just trying to understand, hey, why do you want my vote? And
Hmm.
I think that's what I want other people to kind of get out of it too, is just like, okay, why do you want my vote? You're, like Danny said, it's like, it's an interview. You want me to hire you, right? My vote may be the one that hires you, right? But how do I know you're ready for the job? So speaking to candidates directly is, I feel like, one of the best things we could do, and for people to hear directly from them. Like I said, the answers to some of these questions that are not controlled by a party, by a narrative, by a media. It's just
Hmm.
us regular guys asking questions because we lived here. We know what it's like. Like Gio gave you a bunch of examples of what it's like to live here, um, and we're living it. You know, we can actually say we've been affected by all this. So I think, and we want people that have been affected by this too, to be able to make an informed decision. I think that's what we've always been about.
Yeah, I think if we come out learning one new thing out of each interview, we're winning. We don't understand. We don't fully understand this process, this machine that's a government. And just like how I've said it before, we understand all these different stats for baseball, basketball, football, and whatever sport, hockey that you're into. We should know the intricacies of how the government works in the same way. So if we happen to learn one piece, one little portion of it, a small piece of it, to me that's a win already. And if someone else tunes in and takes an interest into it and learns one thing out of it, we've said it before, that's all that really matters. So
Hmm.
we could be talking to ourselves right here, but if we learn something, I'm good.
What are you going to say?
What you got, Christian?
No, I just need
Get
a
it out.
button that says no. I just need a button that's gonna say "Eso es personal." I just think of my favorite soccer team, and I'm like, damn it, we got a championship tomorrow. Fuck. I don't even know where to fucking vote. Oh man,
No,
eso es
but
personal.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm just saying. The gas
Yeah,
to the
no,
game
you're
is going
right.
to cost
No, you're
more.
hmm,
Your ticket to the
you're right.
stadium or the
You're
game is going
right.
to cost more. Your phone bill is going to cost more if you're going
Hmm.
to buy a ticket. I don't know, stream it or go on an
And
app and buy it.
it's like you
That's
said, it's if you learn one thing, right? But if we get these viewers, if these people actually tune in and they learn, oh man, or it's that, what time of year is it? Oh man, well, I better start getting into learning my candidates, whatever side it is,
hmm.
this is going on while underneath our noses. Same thing as council meetings, student council meet, not student council meetings, like school
School
board
board
meetings.
meetings. Yeah.
All that stuff happens, and either we're watching the Knicks games, not Danny, of course.
I gave it
Or
towards 2018, man. That's it.
but we got to get out there, and I think if, like you said, at least one other person just starts being aware, not woke, right? Aware, um it'll be all right. We're doing our due diligence, our
Yeah.
service.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. Just you're doing your due diligence as a voter, right? As a voter in California, you want to make sure that you're supporting the person that's gonna do what they say, right? But we got to find out what it is they're saying too, so that when you do go in there, it's like, all right, you said you were going to do this, and then we can hold them accountable. And I think one of my, my things on talking to all these different candidates is, and I've said it before, it's like we need a strong candidate, someone that's gonna not back down, uh, someone that's not gonna let the BS slide, so to speak. Because me and Danny have talked about it before when we were watching the last debate in 2022, and Newsom was up there just slick talking, lying, and there was no real pushback. There was no real
Mhm.
strong response or fight back. Um, we need someone that's gonna tell it like it is, you know, and you could still reach voters and be honest and be firm, but you can't let that sort of stuff slide. So that's why I kind of want to, you know, out of talking to all these candidates, is you're going to see who has their beliefs, their stances, what they're running on, firm.
Yeah.
So I think I think it'll be good. I mean, I don't know. I think they'll all be interesting.
Hmm.
So what do you oh man, what are you gonna say? Oh, but yeah, these interviews, hopefully people tune in, share them, give
Hmm.
everybody a chance. Oh, that's one thing I wanted to say. Give each candidate a chance, hear them out, because I know there's people that already have their stances, or you know what I mean. They got
Hmm.
their candidate set, and that's fine. But at least hear everybody out. I think for us as citizens and who we're voting for, I think we do need to give everyone a fair shot, a fair opportunity. And hey, if you listen to all the candidates we have lined up and you still think your guy is the strongest, cool. But I would say in a fair manner, hear everybody out, because hey, we just don't know, right? You never know.
Well, that's the liberty we have, right? To have all these options. If we just, well, I just let me know when it's the last two teams. You know, we're giving all that up. So
Hmm.
it's best if we have the opportunity to dive in and be a part of the whole step until, all right, these are the final two guys, and I've been with that guy. I switched up three different times, you know.
Yeah.
So and now
I,
we're here.
I'm excited that we get the opportunity to be able to present some candidates that might not otherwise get the
Yep.
traction otherwise. Because
Mm-hmm.
if we can get somebody, like, let's just say 20 people watch, and then those 20 people share it to 10 other
Mm-hmm.
people, and then it just trickles out from there, right? And
Mm-hmm.
we ended up getting a candidate that, instead of like I'm just gonna name drop, okay? I'm gonna name drop. Fuck it. Um, let's just say like a Steve Hilton, right? Because everybody
Five
right now
minutes.
knows that Steve Hilton is the front runner. Why? Not because he's done anything. Not because he's, because obviously he's not from California. He's only been in the
What?
United States for just a little over a decade. Um, the fact is, he's a Fox News pundit. Um, I've held back for a few weeks, but I'm just going to call
It's
it
his
out as it
personality.
is now. Uh, he's a Fox News guy. So all the Republican voters are right now on his junk because, oh, I get to tune in to Steve Hilton on Sundays. Well, okay, yeah, he's up and down the state doing all these interviews with all the people that Fox News has talked to over the last 5 to 10 years with different candidates, and so everybody's excited because he's making these big moves, right? Well, guess what? There's other candidates that aren't getting the front
Praise.
news camera. They're not getting legacy media talking about them because he's not a legacy media guy, right? And we're gonna get some of those guys on the show, and to me, that's exciting to get those names out, because my hope is that somebody like a Steve Hilton doesn't get down the line because his name is Republican. Now, if he comes out and convinces me for some reason, great. I will gladly vote for him. But I want somebody to prove to me that they're going to do the job here in California. Not because they're a Fox News pundit, not because they're the sheriff of Riverside, not because of this or that. I want to know, what are you going to do to fight for me? And that's what I said earlier. What are you going to do to fight for me? How are you going to save me on my how are you going to save my money? Or if you can't save me money because you're over there fighting in Sacramento, are you going to call out people by name? Are you going to say, hey, fulano de tal is the reason why we can't get these bills passed? You know what? ABC, Fox, CBS, tune in at 10 p.m. I'm gonna talk about these things that are important to the voters, and I'm gonna call these people out until we start getting change in California. No, not because they're Democrats. No, not because they're libertarian. Not because they're Green Party. I don't care about parties. I care about coming through for the Californians that voted for me, and that's what I want. Not hey, get him in because he's the Fox News pundit, or get him in because he's got a skinny neck, or because she was the vice president. I don't care
Sheriff
about
of
those things.
Riverside's pretty dope, Gio.
That is pretty dope. That
That's
is pretty dope.
pretty.
And this is not the DMU episode to do it on, but when we have the DMU episode, I will be wearing my Colin Kaepernick jersey. I have considered, when he comes on the show, wearing my Kaepernick jersey and a cowboy hat. It's under consideration, Sheriff. You let me know if you don't want me
No,
to wear it. Don't say nothing. Don't say
no
nothing.
Kaepernick
If you're
jerseys.
down and you tell me, I'm doing it. I don't have a hat, and I know they're expensive. I know they're a couple $100, but I'll wear it. I'm down. And I'll start the episode. I'll put the American flag behind me. I'll start kneeling. However you want to do it, I'm down, because I'm down for the cause, as long as it makes California better again or greater again. Nah.
Gio.
What's up? Hey, don't mind us, guys.
Well,
I'm,
look, it's all about name recognition, and that's the
Mhm,
same playbook that they always run.
mhm,
So, if we've learned anything out of what we've been dealing with the past 25 years, is let's not fall for the same old thing. It's just give us someone with name recognition and give us the
mhm,
same old BS. They're gonna tell us everything that we want to hear. That's what they're gonna do. They're gonna talk about safety. They're gonna talk about the economy. They're gonna talk
Hmm.
about education, how they're gonna make it better, and they're just gonna feed us a line of BS. Now, like you said, if it's not just name recognition that they're throwing out there just to get elected, you know, of course we're going to be open to it, and we'll vote based on that.
mhm.
But that looks like a game, like a playbook move to me. It's just giving someone with the name recognition, but we could be proven wrong. Um, I just I just hope that Californians have learned our lesson and don't fall for the same play that they've always been doing. We got to listen to everybody else. Everybody else, just because they don't have name recognition, doesn't mean that they're not qualified for the position. As a matter of fact, I've told you guys this in the past too, is that we're Trump supporters. We support a lot of the things that he does, and the way that he goes about them, especially with the economy and
Mhm.
just common sense stuff. Um, but I know in my heart of hearts that there are other people out there that could do a better job than he could as a
Hmm.
president, but
Mhm.
they're just suppressed. We don't hear about them. The machine keeps them away. Doesn't even give them a chance to step up to the plate and take a shot at it.
The machine Danny is so bad that the people don't even want to know the insides of the machine. When Trump is trying to show us all, and everybody's like, "Nah, cover that thing up," and they're getting mad at all the stuff where when they're showing us where our taxes are going.
Dude, but
People are getting
aside,
upset at that.
have you met someone on the street that doesn't agree with what they're exposing? It's the legacy media. It's what we
Hmm.
hear in social media. It's what we hear in the news
Mhm.
that they're not liking it.
So Tesla's being burned.
Wait a minute. You're telling me that kids aren't dying, and old people aren't not getting the help they should be getting? I thought that's what Elon Musk and Doge was doing. They were killing people.
I mean, you could believe the legacy media if you want to.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what I'm saying. Like us, just random guys, being able to talk to them, ask them questions that may or may not put them on the spot. It's, but they got to be
Well,
asked.
well, I think the question there is right. We're talking about legacy media. Um, we're having as many candidates as we can, right? This is probably the one place you can catch more than just one, right?
Mhm.
Why wouldn't Fox have all of them when they have the resources and such, right? But they're only pushing one person because the face or the name value, right? Which
Their
I
platform
disagree.
and name
Well,
recognition.
Mhm.
that's been my point about Steve Hilton is for me. He seemed to come into this race when uh, Chad Bianco was ahead, right? He was the front runner for the conservatives, and just when there's a chance that California can truly have a chance at a fight for a conservative governor, just when there's a chance that we can actually get somebody that has some experience in California, really turning things around, doing a good job for Californians, at least in Riverside County. Just when we have that chance, here comes Steve Hilton. Uh,
Oi, we've
oh,
got governor. We've
vote for me.
vote for me. I'm Steve Hilton. Vote for me.
you know, oh, I worked for Margaret Thatcher in England. Like, come on, dude. Like, who cares about what you did
Yeah,
over there?
I
What have you
can't
done?
believe, dude.
What have you done
I
here aside from being a pundit on
an
Fox News?
Englishman, a red coat, bro. A red coat is running it. Is
Yeah. No,
they lost? They lost. You
yeah,
can't
we already beat
lose
them.
and then be the head. You can't. I don't. I you can't, dude.
Yeah, and
That
No,
then
that's our fault.
to
That's our bad. I'm.
yeah,
Mm,
and no, and to I think Gio, you mentioned earlier, it's like we have followers from most of them are in California, and a lot of them do have different, like I said,
area stand
opinions,
up.
right? On who they prefer right now, and that is what's gonna be the cool thing about this. Like Christian said, it's there's other platforms that have the resources to do it. We kind of just do
Why
it on our
us?
own,
Why
and
us?
we just do it on our own, and we see what happens. We're not this big platform, and we make it happen because we want to see what's going on. We want to hear from them directly, and we don't want, like Danny said, just for name recognition to pop up. It's I want to know you, the candidate, what you're running on, and I think that's important.
Hmm.
yeah, I just, I just think that when we have a fighting chance, it always makes me wonder when somebody like Steve Hilton comes in, and maybe he does have the right maybe he does have the right intentions, but part of me is like, is somebody funding that? Is to come in and into the race at this point and grab all this momentum out of nowhere just because you got Fox News backing you? Well, they haven't. I don't know if they've endorsed him, but he's got that audience that is now backing him in California because day one, without even talking about policy, everybody was on his nuts, right? I mean, Mr. Arizona, what's the guy that helped Donald Trump get voted in? Kid that's always at colleges.
Charlie
Charlie
Kirk.
Kirk.
Charlie Kirk came out right away and jumped on his nuts as if his
Whoa.
opinion mattered here in California. Like, look, we get it. He's maybe
Charlie
he's
Kirk
a
is a
great
friend of the
friend.
podcast, dude.
No, I'm gonna call out the bullshit. Okay, uh, maybe he's a great friend of yours, Charlie, but here in California, we want somebody that's going to fight for us, whether that's
Does
Mercury.
Charlie live in California?
No, he lives in Arizona. Like,
All right, bro. You see, this is what we're talking about here, right? How do they know? How does an English guy that grew up on gravy gonna tell me what's cool around here?
hey, I mean, the dude probably doesn't even eat steak and potatoes for dinner. He's probably eating bangers and mash,
Mm.
chips and fish. You know, I
I
I
like
want
fish and chips. What's wrong
I
with
like
fish
fish and
and
chips too,
chips?
and I
Fish
like
and
bangers
chips
and
are
mash too
fucking
for the
gay,
English
dude.
audience. I like that food too.
Fish and chips are gay, dude. Nah,
Oh
I'm just
man.
saying there's just a lot of differences, dude. And if it comes down to one and one, like if you, dude, there's nothing, just there's nothing relatable between us two. You know, as a
Yeah.
Californian, I'm talking as a Californian, born and raised, 31 years. What are you gonna tell me?
But let's be fair. So we don't
All
Mm-hmm.
right,
know his
all right,
history.
like fair.
We don't know his history. We don't know what he
Mm-hmm.
brings to the table. So we have to do a little bit of research, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he's got good solutions. Maybe I don't know. The dude lived here, and does know how to run one of the what fifth largest economy in the world, and can do a good job with that. I don't know.
Danny's being nice. Danny, I see you, Danny. I like he's being a lot nicer than we are.
I'm just being, we have to be reasonable.
Yeah,
Hey, look,
yeah.
with Latino free minds, everybody's got a different opinion, and that's kind of like what we were saying. We've got a free mind. So
Mm-hmm.
if we base our opinions just on, things that we hear, I don't think that's
Mm-hmm.
what I stand for. We've got to look at everything pragmatically, look into it, see what's going on. So yeah, and it goes back to what we were just saying in the beginning is that we have to talk to people, to these candidates, know what they're about, and make our decision based off of that. If we're just going to listen to, what Fox does, platforming someone and throwing them softball questions and stuff like that, that's all we're going to get, and that's all we're going to know about them. So, you know, have a different type of conversation. Luckily, we're going to be able to do that with some of
Mm-hmm.
these candidates. And if we don't, then, we've got to do a little bit of research. I've
Mm-hmm.
already started looking into some interviews that some of the candidates have been doing in the past couple of months and stuff like that. So, you can, I think we're good at seeing patterns. So if they
Mm-hmm.
go into one interview and it's the same questions, the one, two, three, four, five questions that they always ask, and they've got those answers just ready to roll off their tongue because that's what they want to engrave in your brain so that when you're voting you think about that and vote for them.
Mm-hmm.
That's their job, that's what they're trying to do,
Mm-hmm.
but we've got
Yeah.
to do our part, and we've got the same way that they do to other candidates that we look at how they play, you know 5-second clips and misinterpret what someone is saying. That could be happening to anybody. That could happen to us, with well, the conversations that we've had. You get a 5-second clip out of it, and they'll make it sound like something completely different about stuffing turkeys or something like that. So
Well, clip this,
Yeah.
because I was going strictly off of race and nationality.
Yeah.
Boom.
hey,
That's
hey,
dude.
I'm glad that you brought that up because I was going to ask this. So okay, Latino free minds, we're all Latinos here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously.
Latinx,
So
please.
ever since I was a little kid growing up, there's always talk about, you know, you're disenfranchised. There's no one that speaks for you. There's, you don't have
Mm-hmm.
the same opportunities that, you know, uh, Johnny Smith has. He's going to be your boss and stuff like that. That's what I grew up with. You know,
Hmm.
overhearing whether it was school or people that just thought that racism was, suppressing us and stuff like that in the Latino community. But what now that we're older, we've been through school, we've been through the workforce, we've got our careers. Um, what do you guys feel about that? Do you still feel the same way? Did you ever hear it? Did you find out that it was BS? Was it bringing you down instead of bringing you up? Did it motivate you? Did it take away motivation? What did it do for you guys? Start with Christian.
Well, for me, man, like all that stuff, I think um growing up, like what elementary, all that kind of stuff of you being playing the victim and all that. I don't even know how to say it. It just sent all the blame. If it's minimalized at that age, it's all white is bad, right? That's how I kind of grew up. Oh well, white is they're weird or whatever, and um that's how I kind of see it. It all got shifted into that. They're the reason of my misfortune, you
Mm,
know. But luckily, my family had the Bible. We would go to church, you know. And it's if you kind of do have to be you got to have a rough outer side, if you're going to be reading the Bible and understand that, it's only there to help, knowing that your good deeds are as good as I don't even want to say it, but if you have that in your mind, well, well, even my best deeds are gonna fall short. I can that's all I can do, and I can keep striving for that. Hardworking, pues, and not take everybody else's word for it. Um, as a kid, it's your friends, and when you grow up, it's what legacy media tricking you. So yeah, that's what it kinda meant to me. As growing up, I'm a lot younger than you guys, so growing up for you guys is like 10 years ago, you guys were 30. What? I was like 16, so you guys are old.
what about you, Jill?
um, well, um, look, from like what Christian said, I grew up in a slightly different time. I grew up in Sacramento in the '90s. Um, we were kind of it was kind of ingrained in us, like the racism stuff, and to some extent it was real. I've experienced from police officers stopping me or me with my friends, and dealing with certain things in certain neighborhoods. But you know that's circumstantial. You know, or do you allow that to hold you back? Do you dwell on that? Do you let it fester? Do you continue to live in those neighborhoods, or do you strive for something better? There's always this saying about your parents have provided something for you, and it's your duty to provide something better for your children, and for them to provide a better situation for their children. you know, I grew up in an environment where we did have to deal with racism, racist police, racist authority, teachers in school. That stuff wasn't fake. Like, we didn't make that up. That stuff did exist. Do I think things have gotten better? Exponentially. I think exponentially they've gotten better. I think that there's a generation that is soft, and they try to hold things or hold certain people accountable for situations that are just falsified or blown out of proportion compared to the situations that we dealt with 20 years ago. And
Damn.
probably worse for my parents, their generation, and even more so generations before them. Things have been improving, and pretending like they haven't is crazy. But it's like I said, I strive to provide my children a better life than what I dealt with. You know, do I think that my kids deal with racism? Not as much. I think I've mentioned it before. I had a conversation with my son. You know, I sat him down and I was like, "Hey, how are things going in school? Because I know you go to a predominantly white school. Most of maybe 50% of the students there are white, or maybe even a larger percentage. Whereas when I was a kid, there was like a white kid in the class, maybe two or three of them. Um, you know, it's flipped for him. You know, there's only a few Latinos. There's maybe a couple black kids. Um, you know, with that flip majority, like with all those white kids around, how's the racism at your school? Do you experience that? And he's like, I don't think so. What do you mean? I was like, you know, do they say certain things? Do they say things like, hey, hey Hector, why don't you have your dad come mow my lawn? Hey, wetback, come you know, hey,
That's
can you have
personal,
your
Gio. They
it is
hit you with that one.
personal.
They hit you
It
with
is
those.
personal. I hated being called
You
Hector.
you
God damn
remember
it! I
those,
hated being
yeah.
called Hector. My name's not Hector. It's Gio. Jesus Christ.
Senior
Um,
George.
no, no, but seriously, like I asked them, like, do they call you wetback? Do they call you spick? Do they call you
Mm,
brown N word?
mm.
And he's like, what does wetback mean? I'm like, dude, that's the first one I said. You don't like that. You're stuck on that. And he's like, I've never heard those words. What do those mean? I'm like, you know what? Never mind. Don't
Let me
even worry about it.
introduce you to George Lopez.
No, no, here's the thing. It was a few days later, maybe like a week later. I was on Amazon Prime looking for a movie, and I saw the Cesar Chavez movie, and I was like, I'll put it on just because it's slightly, you know, it's historical. There's some slight Hollywood stuff in there, and
Hmm.
they were saying those words in that movie like wetback, and
He loved to say it.
and he was like, "Hey, isn't that that word that you were telling me?" I was like, "Yeah." They said "spick," and he's like, "Oh, people really said that stuff?" I was like, "Yeah, I've been called those words. I used to get called those things by the black kids at school,
On the
and the white
volleyball court.
kids at school, and the Mexican kids at school. Like the Mexicans didn't like me because I hung out with the black kids, uh, which is people are watching and probably like, why does that Mexican guy sound a little bit different? Because I grew up with the black kids." Um, but, you know, they all, you know, the ones that weren't my friends, they called me Hector and Jose and all the Mexican names. If the Miguel, my name is Gio. It's not Miguel, it's not Hector, it's not Jose. Um, but you know, and not here nor there, right? So, Danny, to answer your question, do I do I do I believe that racism still exists? Sure, but you know,
No, no, no. Just growing up, how did it affected you and stuff like that. So
you can't let it hold you back. You can't let it hold you back. You have to move forward from that. Like seriously, to go and claim that a candidate is racist or a certain party is racist is crazy. It's absolutely nuts. You have to hold people accountable for their actions, yes, but to hold somebody accountable for a narrative, that's crazy. You can't do that. You can't hold somebody accountable for a narrative. To say that a candidate is racist when there's absolutely no proof, or the proof that they have is a 3 second clip, but when you go listen to the 20 second, to the minute, to the 5 minutes, completely out of context, it's not fair to that person to hold them accountable for the narrative.
what about you, Daniel?
Um, I'm gonna say I wasn't really affected by that because I
You were?
didn't. No, I
Oh, you
wasn't.
weren't?
Mm-mm. I was in. I guess getting raised, I would go to church, and I can't remember that my parents ever made race a
Big
an
Hmm.
deal.
issue. Yeah, big deal.
Yeah,
Now
that's good.
they would tell me that obviously being Mexican and all that, there's like that. There was more of a gang culture back then when I was growing up.
Hmm.
So it was like, you got to stay away from those kind of people because like Gio said, right? Any decision you make or what you do is going to have consequences and you got to be able to deal with those. So to say that I dealt with like any of that or that it affected me, I honestly can't remember it being like anything of focus when I was growing up. So
Just
it didn't really affect me.
don't wear red.
Yeah, that was
Don't
basically
get
it.
tattoos.
Don't wear red,
Don't
don't
get
wear
nobody
blue
pregnant.
in the wrong in the
So,
wrong
Súbete los
dude,
pantalones.
in the wrong
yeah.
cities, you know? And then it's like kind of what Gio said. It's like have I ever been, you know, walking and then a police officer kind of questions you because you fit a description? Well, it's like, well, yeah, you know, I'm in San Jose, a lot of gang members. Of course, I'm gonna look like I fit the description, but you know, at the end of the day, whatever questions that you ask, you answer, and that's it. You know, like Christian says, like, do you have a tattoo? You know, on your arm or whatever? Nope. You know, show me your arm, no tattoo. All right, it's not you. You know, like, you know, I never took that as me myself. I never took that as racism. I just took that as, you know, I know where I'm at, what the people in this area kind of do, and you know, the dude's just doing his job. I guess. You know, I never looked at things, I guess, in a race type of.
Also, also, I wasn't a bad kid, dude. So I wasn't getting in trouble. You know, so it's like I would see people get in trouble and right away throw that blame of like, "Oh, you got me. What the hell?" It's because I'm freaking Mexican. I didn't kill nobody, dude. Dude, I had I went to school with this kid, and I remember this was a couple years ago. It was all in the news and everything. He um was holding a lady hostage, his girlfriend or something. Um, Holding the lady hostage, shot the police dog, killed the police dog,
Well,
and they were able to get him and they took him to jail, or maybe he died. But I remember, man, the outcry of the friends, the immediate friends going, he didn't do nothing, and he was Mexican. He was La Raza, so it was, and it's like I was able to see that, it's like, nah, dude, you weren't doing community service, when all that stuff happened. So yeah, it's, and I don't know if maybe having this complexion a little lighter than most of my friends, you know, that helped too. Didn't get into too much trouble, or everybody was fond of me. you know, God only knows if I was white, how would I abuse that thing.
what about you, Danny?
So growing up, there's a lot of people, that would talk about it and would try to convince you of it. Did I experience it? Did I see it? Yeah, you know. And I grew up in the '90s too. The best, decade ever.
Damn.
Growing up in the '90s like that. Um, and there is a lot of that, and you see it. You get convinced that that's what's holding you back, or it's going to hold you back if you allow it to enter your mind and you start believing it. But I like what you and Christian said is that in your household, it wasn't made to be a big deal. And that's the same experience that I had. So everybody else was trying to convince me that that's what the issue is. And that's what's going to hold me back. And that's why I'm not going to be able to amount to anything or be anybody. But I quickly found out that everything that my mom was saying and what she was trying to inculcate was true, is that it matters what you do, that you have good intentions. I wasn't a bad kid either, Christian. So maybe I wasn't affected as much as other people were. Was I driving around down Story and King and stuff like that and got pulled over because my tires were bald? Yeah, I got pulled over. The cop, would start asking questions, ask the same things. Do you have tattoos? No. And then you get a little sassy and it's like, well, here's my name. Pull up my record.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing that there is no record. Just go over there, do your thing, and let me go, type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew that in the neighborhood where I was or I lived at, there was bad things going on. So, when they start talking about racially profiling people and stuff like that, the reality is that if you're gonna look suspect, you're gonna be a suspect. So I had nothing to hide,
Hmm.
and then they start brainwashing you a little bit in school. You start believing some of that. Then I went into the workforce at a young age, and I realized that if I just did my job and I worked hard, it didn't matter what my complexion was, what my nationality was. If I spoke Spanish, I spoke English, or whatever the case was. And I I found out what my end game was, and my end game is to be a good father, to be a good citizen, and to represent my people too. Is that I've always been very defensive. So when I did see someone getting pushed down, and I saw them being affected by that, it's like you lit a match, and I would step up and defend that person, and at the same time motivate that person and let them know, hey, you could do whatever you set your mind to. Um, if you're smart, hit the books. If you're hardworking, work hard. The best thing that you could do is be smart and hardworking. And if you're not smart, at least you're hardworking. So,
And you better not be fat. If you're not either of those two.
so I wanted to ask you guys that because I wanted to get your perspective on that and see how it's holding us back, because now we're in 2025, something that
Ooh.
we never talked about in the 90s, where we were going to be like,
Hmm.
hey, what are we going to be doing? What are we going to be talking about in 2025? But look at what we're talking about in 2025. We're
Hmm.
speaking to candidates, Latinos, that we had people trying to, or popular culture or environment trying to tell us that we're not going to be able to amount, to nothing. And
They
we're
still
doing,
do.
yeah, and they still do. And I just want all Latinos out there is, don't get manipulated, don't get fooled. Sports are cool, but what we're talking about is cool too. So you want your kids, like Gio said, you want it's a ladder. My parents did exactly what they intended to do by coming to this country, give us a better opportunity than where they were at. You want to talk
Hmm.
about racism? There's racism in Mexico from state to state, or
Hmm.
town from town, city from city. So,
Hmm.
you can't get away from that stuff. Someone put on the thread here that racism only makes you stronger. I agree with some of that.
my, hey,
It,
dude, my best
I
friend's black. I grew up around black people, dude. Every time I
You're
walked
an
in the house,
hey, bro.
every time I walked in the house, hola, mi amigo, ¿cómo andas? And I'd be like, oh my
yeah,
god. Ugh.
my best friend is black too, and look,
Prove
man,
it.
it's like Danny was saying is you think back to when you were a kid, 90s, maybe for some of our listeners, 80s, 70s,
Damn.
you know, to think like is it when would Hispanic kid from the hood or from the barrio, when is he going to get the opportunity to sit down with a gubernatorial candidate? It's not going to happen. But starting next week, we got David Serpa. We're going to be sitting down with David Serpa,
Shout out.
and pretty much every week for like the next couple months, we got a candidate on a gubernatorial candidate. These four little Latinos right here with their free minds. We all have different
Latinx.
opinions. We all have different opinions. Not
Hmm.
Hmm.
not a single one of these other guys would wear a Kaepernick jersey, but I would. I'm not afraid.
I'll
You know,
burn one.
not
Same
mine,
time. At the
not
same time.
mine. Hey, I paid $100 for mine with inflation. That's like two hundred and
Okay,
fifty.
I would give you 150. Just let me burn it.
Nah,
Okay,
no,
no.
no way,
I'll give
If
you
Jose.
200.
No
if
way,
you
200
Jose.
and
wear
let me burn it.
if you
I,
wear if you wear your Kaepernick jersey, I'll match your Kaepernick jersey with the Eric Reed jersey. and
Oh
we could
God.
we could both
Ooh,
take a knee,
let's do it.
brother.
Let's do it.
I'm gonna send you guys the wrong link.
I have an Eric Reed jersey,
They're
rookie
gonna
jersey,
be on
baby.
their
What's up?
knees with their fist up. And they're gonna be like,
Ah.
"Where's everybody?"
Oh God.
I
You
might
guys are
get it.
wild.
I might get in trouble for doing it because I'm gonna have the
No,
afro
dude.
with the picking it and everything. I'm gonna be Kaepernick so black.
Mm.
Hey, somebody right now from Lexit is recording and they're gonna clip that and put it out. Fuck those guys.
Well, I was trying to think of how I was gonna wear my hat before I try to put my hat on right now. My little cowboy hat look extra cute, but with these headphones,
You gotta
it's
get
not.
some of
It's just,
these.
it's
You
not
gotta get
Ah,
gonna
some of
yeah,
work.
you
these.
got to get the in ears, man.
I don't know. I might have to cut a hole on the hat. Just stick it out. We'll see.
No, yeah, no, we'll see how it goes, but you know, I think I think we're doing it for. I like to
The
think
right
we're doing it
reason.
for the right reasons. Um, and like we said at the beginning, is after each conversation, hopefully everybody that tuned in got to learn at least, like I think Danny said it, at least learned one thing, right, about each candidate. Maybe you didn't know. Um, and then it helps you decide, you know.
Hmm.
And like I said at the beginning, if you already got the candidate you like and that's who you're gonna roll with, cool. But you know,
You never know.
let's hear everybody out. You know, we did have Steve Hilton on the lineup, but we don't have him on the lineup no more. We'll see if we do ever
Thanks a lot,
get
Gio.
a response. But if he does come on, we'll still speak with him. You know what I mean? Hear him out, see what he has to say, see uh, if he can answer the questions that we got. Because, like I said at the beginning, these questions aren't establishment media type questions. It's questions that people that have lived in this state and have seen how it's gotten worse and worse year after year.
Hmm.
We want results. We want change. And,
Oh,
you know,
I lost my house in Malibu.
Oh, in the fire.
Oh, I lived in Malibu. That's what California means to live here.
I think he lives in Silicon Valley now. I think he's your neighbor,
Oh,
Christian.
oh.
He's gonna buy your house and
You
turn it
better
into a
check
pool.
in. You better check in. No, no,
What's gonna happen? You're gonna be at SFO and he's gonna get Takashi 69 or what?
no. Like Danny said, we gotta hear him out. We gotta hear all these people out.
I know
You
I
know,
do want to hear him out.
even
I do
even
want to give him
though
an opportunity.
even though we're not gonna interview him, that's his choice. We might even do some research on him. Maybe we're wrong,
Here's the
but
important thing, and a message for Steve Hilton. For somebody that is probably not going to vote
I'm
for
a,
you
I'm gonna clip this.
unless you change my mind. Hey, I'm listening. I see your interviews. Still haven't changed my mind yet. But if you can convince me to vote for you, look, it, I just want somebody that's going to make a difference here in California. I want somebody who's going to stick it to these people that have been representing us and charging us for everything. I mean, everything. And my freeways suck. The roads suck. The garbage man still drives by and won't pick it up if the lid is a little bit open. And I'm still paying for all those things. My PG&E keeps going up. I live in the part of the country with the highest um, uh, rates for trash and water and electricity. Uh, you know, hey, what changes are we going to see? Come on, Steve Hilton, come on the show and tell us, like, what are you gonna do? Don't just go to San Diego and stand across the border and be like, oh, there's Mexico sending a lot of trash over here. Well, yeah, I mean, that's an old story. Or go to Salinas and talk about something there, or Visalia. Like, come on and tell us what you're gonna do about it. Don't just point it out. Like, look, Gavin Newsom points stuff out. At least he says what he's pretending he's gonna do. He doesn't do it, but he at least puts his plan out there. Do that. We want to know what you're gonna do. And same thing goes for the other candidates. I mean, I'm really excited to give to be able to talk with them, find out what their platforms are, find out what's really important to them, because these are probably things that are important to me. And what are they going to do about it?
Let's go,
That's it.
Serpa.
What are they going to do about it? Hey,
Let's go, Mercury.
whether it's Serpa, Mercury, Zaki,
Bianco.
Bianco, Hilton, you know,
Mm.
whoever it is, I want to know how are you going to help us? Because
Gio
we're
needs
going to help
help.
you by voting
Gio needs a
for voting
volleyball
for you.
court closer to home
Yeah, and if they come and bully my
with a little
friends at
lock on it.
our volleyball court, are you going to have my back? Or am I going to have to go over there and throw it down by
We need
myself?
a pickleball court. Let's go, guys. What are we doing? Come on.
Pickleball is gay.
But no, I mean, yeah, and all that what you guys what you've said, yeah, it's true. Let's let's see what's up, see what happens.
Hmm.
And one thing about us is you know, we're not a monolith here. It's like all four of us don't have to think alike. And I think there's been times where we've disagreed on stuff on the show, like with each other. And that's a
All
free
that
mind.
shit that Gio said about Hilton, I disagree with it completely already, to put it like that.
No, yeah, I mean, realistically, we all think differently.
Hmm.
You know, there's I mean, I'm a super liberal Democrat.
Yuck.
These guys are opposite
Hella
minded, but we
liberal.
have free minds here. We have free minds.
Hmm.
I'm a Gavin Newsom fan. If you don't know, follow me on Twitter. I'm a big Gavin Newsom fan. Follow me on Instagram. Is it DMUGO? Follow me. I'll share all my content with you to prove to you why Gavin Newsom is an incredible governor, why we should change the law so he can be governor again, because I love paying taxes. I love getting robbed, and I don't want to see where my money is being spent.
Mm,
If you don't know
Mm.
it, free minds.
mm.
Yeah. All right. Well, Danny, you got anything else?
Oh, he could sell me all his money if he wants, if he just wants to give it away instead of giving it to Newsom.
That's true. Cool. All right then, everybody. Well, thanks for tuning in, and next week we'll have David Serpa on, and
Even Serpa.
we'll get to ask him the questions that we feel need to be asked, and you know, we hope that he's able to provide solid answers for all of them, right? So give everybody some good insight on what he's all about, what his campaign is about, and hey, if at the end of the day you think he deserves your vote. So, but with that being said, thanks everybody for tuning in. Share the show, all that good stuff. Peace be with you.
God bless.
Peace be with you.
Gio, stop mentioning.